I put my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 on my FPV drone and accidentally created the best FPV camera setup ever. I always love trying new things with my FPV drone and doing something out of the ordinary. The footage I got from my Osmo was like something out of a movie. From testing the setup to flying it at a professional shoot, this is the story of how I took my DJI Osmo Pocket 3 and decided to risk it all to create some real movie magic. I just put the DJI Pocket 3 on top of my upgraded DJI Avata. This might be the best idea or the worst idea ever known to man, but I thought of this idea so randomly just one late night and I haven't been able to shake it, so let's just give this a shot. Attaching the DJI Osmo was easy. I used the same GoPro mount by attaching a simple cage that clamped to the top of the drone. For the settings, I'm gonna start with gimbal like tilt lock so it doesn't tilt like up and down, but then I'm just gonna play around with this honestly. And so far it's looking like it's actually working. I think the cameras on both of these might actually be the exact same. Don't quote me on that. I might have to do some research on it. Let's fly it. I have no idea under what circumstance you would ever need to do this, but yeah, why not? I was so nervous of how this flight would go. If I crashed, it meant I could not only lose the Avata, but the DJI Osmo along with it. So the stakes were high. All right, let's give it a go. The moment of truth came as soon as I lifted off. My heart was racing as I started doing my first laps. The drone seemed to hold the camera and I kept calm as I took every dive and turn. So the battery's not draining quickly, which is actually really good. Surprisingly, the drone was holding up really well. One of the first things that I noticed was the change in the center of gravity on the drone. When I usually mount an action camera like a GoPro, the camera is usually really heavy and tends to shift the weight of the drone in an awkward position, making it top heavy and hard to control. This makes the motors work twice as hard and drain the battery quicker. Now with the Osmo being mounted on the drone, I noticed a massive difference right away. The weight of the Osmo was lighter, and because of the long length, the weight was actually evenly distributed along the frame of the drone, making it more maneuverable and easier on the motors. When the first battery was done, I took a moment to look back at what the Osmo had captured, and I was immediately blown away at how stable the footage was. Actually, great success on the flight. The footage looks pretty awesome. The drone is actually holding up the Osmo really, really well. And funny enough, I feel like I have more problems holding up a GoPro on this drone than the actual Osmo Pocket 3, even though it's like bigger and longer. I think the center of gravity on this setup is actually really balanced. In all honesty, like GoPros are actually kind of heavy. They're tilted back, they're more at the front. So I guess when you're going forwards, maybe there's like more disbalance going. I'm not sure, but like this is literally my first time trying this. The footage, just from watching it back, it resembles almost like one of those gimbal cameras that they use on like helicopters or like the Inspire 3, like these big cinema camera drones. They have this sort of like gimbal tilt lock motion. I guess the only thing is like there's an operator who can actually move the gimbal. This less so, but like, wow, this has blown me away already. The Osmo uses a 3-axis gimbal, which means it's completely balanced and stable from the moment you start recording. I noticed 0 micro vibrations and the footage was fully stable. This meant that I wouldn't need to stabilize my footage afterwards, which was so crazy. The DJI Osmo also had a few different gimbal modes, which I tried out. There was horizontal lock, which meant the footage was locked into pointing straight ahead, and then I tried FPV mode on the DJI Osmo, where the gimbal is free to move around just like an FPV drone, and it made for some really unique shots. Another question I had was whether or not the camera quality would be any different on the DJI Osmo compared to my FPV drone, as both cameras looked so similar. After looking into it further, there was a huge difference. The DJI Avata runs a 1/1.7 inch sensor sensor compared to the 1-inch sensor on the Osmo. That's nearly a 2.5 times bigger sensor on the DJI Osmo compared to the built-in DJI Avata camera. Without question, the quality of the Osmo was way better. All in all, my random idea to attach the Osmo to my FPV drone was actually working. The camera quality, instant stabilization, and unique angles made it a huge success. I felt like I had unlocked a new realm with my FPV drone. I was itching to take it out again and see more of what it could do. I upped the stakes by planning to film a car chase and test out the DJI Osmo FPV setup further in a real-world scenario. There's this infamous spot in my area where all the car commercials are filmed. A long strip of road with a beautiful mountainous backdrop, perfect for getting beautiful car shots. I lined up the opportunity to film a brand new Audi using the Osmo FPV drone setup. Now that I had more confidence in the drone being able to handle the weight of the Osmo, I decided to get a little riskier with the flying. With a full set of batteries and an amazing scene to film in, it was time to take to the skies. With the rush of a successful flight behind me, I realized how these shots opened up the door to higher quality footage without needing to mount a massive cinema camera. This could prove to be a game changer for getting pro level shots with a pretty basic setup. The shots were like something out of a movie or a car commercial. I suddenly had a massive urge to continue flying the Osmo FPV setup and discover how far I could push the boundaries. That concludes the flying with the Osmo on top of the Avata. It turned out so good. I was looking back at some of the footage and it just looks so stable, so smooth. So I'm incredibly excited to put together a little video. Yeah, maybe even film some more stuff. I got a shoot coming up next week at a racetrack. So we're gonna be filming a brand new E-Ray, 2025 E-Ray, which I think is like a Corvette electric or like the new Corvette. I'm not really a car guy, but I'll have my Avata with the Osmo on top of it and just get so much cool footage. So I'm really excited for that. With all this practice under my belt and a new camera setup figured out, I had the opportunity coming up to film a supercar at a professional luxury racetrack. I knew exactly where I was about to fly my Osmo FPV setup next. Arriving at the racetrack for the shoot was a rush I had never experienced before. I was there on a mission to help the company share the experience of driving at this exclusive racetrack by capturing the experience with an epic drone video. Radioed in with the driver and with full freedom to fly anywhere, I started to feel the pressure. I had gotten the DJI Mini 5 Pro a week ago, so I used it first in order to scope out the racetrack and find the best spot to fly for later. I made a full video flying the DJI Mini 5 Pro on my channel. I'll link it up in the corner and down below, so check it out after this video. The supercar I was filming was a brand new Corvette E-Ray, loaded with power and ready to turn the track hot. After a few laps scouting out the area, I had a good idea of where the best spot would be to capture all the FPV drone shots. With the sun finally peeking over the mountain, I felt the rush knowing that this would be the perfect time to mount the Osmo and fly the FPV drone on the racetrack. I quickly grabbed my Osmo FPV setup and got ready to take off. Somehow, I've ended up at a motorsports park, and I have my DJI Osmo on my FPV drone filming a supercar, so let's see how this goes. The drone was performing as usual, and I was getting used to matching the speed and angle of the drone with the Supercar. I felt the rush of capturing these shots, knowing that my Osmo was creating some epic movie moments. After a successful first flight, I came in for a quick battery swap and took to the skies once again. Then, in the first minute of flight, the unthinkable happened. While maneuvering my drone into position after the Supercar, I felt the drone unhook from my control and suddenly drop out of the sky. My heart dropped as I realized I had just lost control of the entire setup. Had a little bit of a drone error and it fell onto the grass just on that long strip.
Copy. You need to come out.
Yes.
Let's go.
Thank you.
Awesome. Well, we just lost the drone out of the
Get in.
sky.
I don't.
The worst part is, it happened in the middle of a professional shoot at a luxury racetrack. The pressure was on as I scrambled to figure things out. The driver had pulled over to look for the drone, but I couldn't help but run out myself to see what the damage was. The driver spotted the drone, but the rest of the things were scattered all over the grass. By a strike of luck, the Osmo was found. It had gone into gimbal lock mode and prevented any damage from happening to the camera. By some miracle, I had found everything, and the only damage I sustained was to the plastic action camera mount on the drone. Well, the drone fell out of the sky, which is one of the drawbacks of this modded Avata, but luckily I found every little piece. The Osmo's good, it did a gimbal lock when it fell, and I found the ND filter, so all good. The mount broke off. We're gonna take a few more laps with just the Avata, but hopefully the footage turned out pretty good. Even though everything was technically fine, I had no other way to mount the Osmo on my FPV drone for the rest of the shoot. But with the worries out and the adrenaline leaving my body after the crash, I felt a sense of calm and confidence capturing the rest of the shoot with just my Avata. Even though I knew the footage wouldn't be as great as it would be on the Osmo, I was just glad that everything was in one piece. I could have lost all my gear with one wrong crash, but fate had a different plan that day. Finishing up the rest of the shoot with some exhilarating moments capturing the Supercar, the day continued with a final surprise. The drone had caught the attention of some drivers coming into the racetrack that morning. Just after wrapping up the shoot, we met Ken. Ken turned out to be a super cool guy and offered to drive us around in his ride and do a couple laps around the racetrack. Seeing as though I had just spent the entire morning filming the beautiful track, how could I say no?
It's so much fun.
Coming back home after the shoot, I wanted to put together an edit showcasing the footage captured with the Osmo FPV Setup. I wanted to highlight the quality, instant stabilization, and unique angles that it got. Here's what the last couple of shoots look like with the Osmo FPV Setup. several weeks of flying with the Osmo FPV setup, I realized the power in testing new ideas, even if they seemed risky and impractical. Sometimes thinking outside the box, even if it doesn't entirely make sense in the beginning, can be worth it in the end. The random idea to mount my DJI Osmo onto my FPV drone was definitely that. Out of the box and risky, but just going for it is what helped me step out of my comfort zone and unlock a new level to my FPV camera setup. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram, and with that being said, I'll see you in the next video. Peace.